We are now recording, and let me know if everyone can see my screen, please. Looks like we have some yeses. Awesome. Nice to see you guys. Hello, Dave and Craig, Matt, Sergi, Pat. Good morning to you, Dave. All right, now that we're recording, I will just give a quick intro. Today is going to be the first Jensen training webinar. It's going to kind of be a grand tour. If we do hit any errors, please forgive me. Some of the system is definitely still actively in beta. I will kind of make a note as I go through the platform which parts are more mature and which parts you can kind of not be surprised if you hit any breakages. So you can feel free to drop questions in to the question box this entire time. I'll try to hop in here as I go through and answer them as I go through. The plan today, quite honestly, I have the next few hours sketched out if I need it. I'm just going to kind of meander through everything that we have in the software. After I do that, I go through and I'll make sure that I loop back around and get all of your guys's and ladies' questions answered. Feel free to let me know if there's any issues at all through this period. So the first thing we're going to do, take a look at our homepage here. Again, if you're not familiar with Jensen, it's a software suite right now, definitely geared towards lead generation, pay per lead, managing your business, building your landing pages, building your local lead generation websites, as well as kind of linking everything together from a technical standpoint, so you don't have to worry about configuring much of your DNS settings. You don't have to worry about configuring email stuff. You don't have to worry about configuring a phone number. Everything kind of comes out of the box. So let's go ahead and dive in. And I'm going to log into a demo account here. So this is going to be the dashboard that you look at when you log in and you've already had some work done in your account. If you're looking at a brand new account, you're probably going to have a different navigation bar. You're going to have a different home page until you get at least one site built. Now, the first thing I want to go through is kind of talk about the structure of Jensen and what it is that we're looking at when we log in. So we have a couple of different sections, and the top bar is going to show us kind of the main sections here. So first we have templates, and this is going to be our HTML templates that can either be landing pages or websites. HTML templates are going to become websites that go inside campaigns. So from a high level, campaigns is an organizational structure. You can attach multiple different lead sources, if you will. So this is for having some guidance, having some structure. If you have a bunch of different campaigns running, you have a bunch of different clients, a bunch of different industries and niches. Jensen can handle connecting already existing sites you have. So if you have an existing landing page in Unbounce or ClickFunnels or any of the landing page softwares, if you have a WordPress site, if you have sites that were created outside of Jensen, you can attach those into the campaigns by adding an external site, which we'll go through. You can also add a Facebook campaign. I believe as of last week, we just got fully approved for our Facebook campaign integration. Essentially what that means is if you have Facebook lead ads campaigns running, you can attach them into Jensen campaigns, and you can kind of monitor all of the leads, whether it's a phone call, a form submit, or a Facebook lead for any marketing campaign you have, all in one place. You can get notified on your Facebook leads. You can send your Facebook leads to customers or to clients. It's kind of a one-stop shop for all of the lead generation campaigns that you might have. So moving through, we also have this next section, which is the leads section. Now, everything is kind of geared towards websites and landing pages generating leads, which is at the end of the day what local business owners are interested in and is what we as business owners are interested in. So this is an example of leads coming through the system. When we're on this main leads tab here, this means that every single lead coming into your account is going to be displayed in this listing. You can filter by lead type, whether it's a phone call, whether it's a form submit, whether it's a Facebook campaign, as well as filter down by the site. There is kind of a pipeline of a lead approval process. If you have clients that want to come in and view their leads, they can pay for them through the system. We have the client tab here. What happens on the clients tab is you can just invite a client. We're going to wire up your own Stripe account, and then clients can be invited to the system. They can choose to pay their invoices as they come. We have a credit system where your clients can go ahead and pre-fill credits. We'll go ahead and deep dive through this. The next thing we have is this phone number section, or the call center. We do have a native integration with Twilio, where if you have a Twilio account, you can simply attach it to your Jensen account. We'll pull in all your Twilio numbers, and then you can configure them across the many different call tracker configurations. And we have some other specifics in here, which I'm going to get to. We have our notifications that come through the system. And then this is kind of the administrative stuff over here. Let's dive into this. I just want to kind of drone through every single tab we have. So the first one I'm going to start with, and then once I go through this, we'll kind of get into the meat and potatoes here of the actual website building and more of the technical side of the platform. But let's just go through the profile tab, and you're going to be able to do all of the simple things for your account: change the email, set your first name, last name, and information. I would say the most important thing to note here is you are going to want to set your time zone. This is going to display everything in your dashboard according to this time zone. Phone numbers can have their own unique time zone, but the account is also going to have an account-wide time zone, and you're going to see things like call logs in the account-wide time zone versus the phone number time zone. Attaching a time zone to a phone number is good for setting things like business hours and when a phone should ring, when it should go to a voicemail. So we do have a sub-user system built in. A lot of our sections at the very top, you can see this help video. And if you click that, what's going to happen is a modal is going to pop up with a training video, usually done by our Lord and Savior, Mr. Mark Luckenbaugh. So when you want to add a sub-user to an account, there's no limit for the amount of sub-users you have. I think if you're on a free account, you might be limited to not have any sub-users, but any of the call tracker accounts or any of the Jensen accounts are going to have unlimited sub-users. When you add a sub-user, you have the ability to restrict the phone numbers that the sub-user has access to, the campaigns, as well as the templates and clients that they can see. Another important thing about the sub-users is there's different types of sub-users. You can have an administrator who has access to essentially the entire platform and all of the properties that you've assigned to him. You have a builder user, which can basically just go into the HTML builder and muck with the templates. And then we have the lead manager user. The lead manager user is going to be able to come in, see the leads tab for the approved phone numbers and campaigns that they have access to. They'll be able to do things like approve leads, deny leads, comment on leads, communicate with any clients that are attached to the campaigns that they have access to, and pretty much anything in regards to lead flow and reviewing leads is going to happen under that user account. As we go down, we're going to have a billing tab, pretty self-explanatory. You can upgrade, downgrade, whatever you want with your billing profile from here at any time. You can also see a list of the invoices that have been generated that the system has generated for you. So if you come and you buy a domain through the system, we're actually going to buy that domain in our own Namecheap account right now. but you're going to be billed for it. If you ever want to have the domain, you can just ask us, we'll transfer it to you. The reason we put it in our account is because we automatically configure all the DNS settings and a bunch of stuff in the background as we're deploying these domains and configuring email, configuring DNS. So the next tab we have, this is the integrations tab. This is where you're going to find all of the third-party application connections. So if you have clients that you're selling leads to, you're going to have your Stripe Connect account connected here. Just a side note, as of right now, if you're in Jensen, if you're watching this, we do not take any money off the top. There's no transaction fee other than, I believe, the default 2.7% that Stripe charges. We as Jensen do not charge anything on top of that. We've got a Facebook integration, like I was saying. Essentially, you come in here, you can add as many Facebook accounts as you'd like. It's going to pull in all of the advertising campaigns under these accounts, and then you can assign the actual advertising campaigns for your lead generation campaigns to your Jensen campaigns. We have an integration directly with MailChimp. We are looking at adding other autoresponders, but essentially, if you have a form, whether it's on an external site that you've already built outside of Jensen, or if you have a Jensen website and you've got a form there, you can attach those forms directly to your MailChimp account. And anytime you have a lead come through or an inquiry come through, that can go ahead and be dynamically pushed to your MailChimp list, so you can send emails there. So we have in the telephone world, we have Twilio. This is a native integration. I am kind of just displaying my test API keys here. Might have to change that after this webinar. You can add as many Twilio accounts as you'd like. You don't have to just add one. If you have 5, 10, 100 Twilio accounts, it doesn't matter. You can add as many as you'd like here. This is our active integration. So when you're using the call tracker and you want to set up a call tracking number in Twilio, you can do that. Jensen's going to allow you to forward your calls either to one phone number, to multiple phone numbers using a multi-ring functionality or a round robin call mode. All of that is powered by Twilio. Now, if you're already using CallFire or CallRail and you already have them going for campaigns, you don't want to switch over. We completely understand that. We have legacy campaigns ourselves that are on both of these platforms. So you can actually connect your CallFire account as well as your CallRail account. And what that's going to do is just passively pull in all calls attached to your phone numbers. So you build a Jensen site, maybe you want to use CallFire, you have a Jensen site, you attach your CallFire account, we're going to pull in all of your CallFire numbers. You're not going to be able to configure the call flows or the call tracking specifics, if you will, for either of these, but you will be able to assign these to landing pages and to websites. We're going to pull all of your calls for all of these accounts in, and they're going to count as leads for any properties that you have them assigned to or campaigns that you have them assigned to. So let me know if that makes sense. Again, the Twilio is an active integration, and the CallFire or CallRail integrations are both passive. We have Google Analytics. You can attach your Google Analytics account and we'll pull out your traffic for your site. So let's say we're going to build the Jensen site. We not only have our own Jensen Analytics, but you can also put in your Google Analytics account and we will kind of compare and contrast. If it's a Jensen site, we know how many visitors you're getting because we have access to the server logs. We can compare that to Google Analytics and you can see any discrepancies. If you have an external site, let's say it's installed with the Jensen JavaScript snippet, which we'll get to, you can then attach your Google Analytics account there and you can see things like how much traffic did you get for how many form submits, how many phone calls, and start to really calculate your ROI across your lead gen campaigns. So we have these form integrations. Now, if you're using third-party plugins for WordPress, such as Gravity Forms, We can handle connecting directly to those natively via their webhook integration. We also do that with FormKeep, Typeform, and JotForm. If you guys are familiar with Typeform, it allows you to kind of create these long custom forms that you can then embed into your landing pages or websites. We have the ability to essentially connect to anything that has a webhook capability. So if you have another form system that you're using, that you're collecting leads with, that can push out those leads via webhooks, we can get that integrated in about half of a day for you. These are just the ones that we've either used internally or had customers over the last few months request. So we also have landing page builder integrations. Maybe you've got a lead gen campaign with ClickFunnels landing pages, maybe it's with unbounced landing pages. You can still have all of those leads natively come into Jensen. So maybe you have a campaign with a bunch of different landing pages. Some of them are Jensen pages, some of them are unbounced. You can have them all streaming into your Jensen account, so you can manage all of your leads from one place. We do have some CRM integrations on the way over the next quarter or two, and we have a Zapier automation. I will actually have to check on how far away that is from coming. This would be not only doing things like getting leads into the system through Zapier, which we actually do have. If you're interested in getting leads into the system with Zapier, you can reach out to me and I can kind of look over how we're doing that internally and see if we can't push that as a public-facing feature. And we also have this little notice here. If you ever have anything that you want to plug into Jensen, feel free to reach out to us. We are pretty easy to work with, and we do like getting feedback. So that is our integrations page. If you have anything you're connecting to Jensen, you're going to do it here. Let's go ahead and move one down. We are completely capable of white labeling the platform. I do not believe that this is available to the free users, but any account above that, you should have access. What's going to happen in here, I've got this under one of Mark's domains, leads.localclienttakeover.com. It's not active right now, but if it were active, I would be able to fill out all of this information. And then my clients, instead of going to jensen.ai and seeing emails from Jensen, seeing essentially the Jensen brand, they're only going to see my white labeled brand. So all of the emails will come from my own custom domain. The actual URL that the client's going to come to is going to be our custom domain. All of the information spit out anywhere is going to be branded with your information and not the Jensen information. This takes about, I want to say, 2 to 3 days to get processed. So what you would do, if you haven't already requested your white label settings or your white label integration, you click this tab, you give us a little bit of information about the domain that you want to use, you click submit, and then we're going to have one of our customer support agents reach out to you. You will need to put in some new DNS keys. We will have to add you to our Amazon SES system so that we can send emails through your domain. I believe that we'll also have to set a few other keys for you. And we'll also have to generate an SSL certificate so that your users can log in via SSL. And the last part of this boring section here is going to be the notifications tab. Again, the platform is fairly complex, especially as notifications are concerned. We have most of the central notifications here, so you can try to turn everything off or on. You can either get notified on the website or notified via email. And there also are a number of notifications that can come directly to your phone number if you add notification numbers here. If you ever have an issue where, let's say you have a couple of campaigns, a couple of landing pages, you're getting email notifications and you don't know why, you can reach out to us and we will find out why. You can add notifications on almost every every layer of the platform, if you will. So you can have notifications assigned directly on the phone number objects. You can have them on the forms. You can have them across the whole account. There's definitely a few ways to make a very confusing notification configuration. And we have had a couple of users who just couldn't figure out why they were getting notified when they weren't expecting to be. So if that happens, just reach out to us. One quick note, a lot of these inputs here are actually capable of accepting more than one value. So if I were to add a phone number here, and this is going to be the same input across a lot of the platform. Let's say I'm going to add this phone number here. I'm going to want to press enter, and then I'm going to want to do it again, press enter again, and now both of these have been inputted, but they're not going to store until we come here and click the update, and that's going to work the same way across all of the system. So if you see an input with the enter sign here, you're going to want to press the enter sign after you put something in and then press update. We've had a number of people, I guess the UI is a little confusing, where they just kind of put in the number and then press update, and then they're surprised when the number doesn't stick. So if you ever come across that, that's what you need to do. This option here, show lead properties, what this is going to do is, let's say I have a landing page, mylandingpage.com, and I have a client that's receiving phone calls and form submits from that landing page, and that client has notifications set to true. If I have this show lead properties on, when that client gets an email about a notification of a lead coming to that landing page, they're going to actually get the URL of the landing page in that notification. It might say, mylandingpage.com just generated a new phone call from phone number. And if you have the show lead properties unchecked, what's going to happen is the notification to your client is no longer going to reveal what property the lead came from. So instead of saying you have a new lead from myproperty.com, it's just going to say you have a new lead, and not show them where the source of that lead is. So that is, I think, my grand tour of the administrative boring stuff. Let me just check here on some of these questions. So we have a few people. I don't any sound. Dennis, I do not think that there's any sound problems. It seems like most people can hear me. Might be some issues on your side. James and Ed, yes, this is being recorded and this will be uploaded whenever it finishes processing. It'll be both emailed out to you via GoToWebinar, as well as we will send it out multiple times. Awesome, Dennis, sound is working. Got another request about a replay. Yes, we definitely have a replay. Let's see, we got a question from Jordan. It says that my account's expiring in January 28th, but I got a year. So it looks like if you came through on one of our yearly promotions, Jordan, just do me a favor and ping the live chat one time just to double check. I'm almost 100% sure that it's just not displaying properly, that your account has a 12-month coupon on it. So I'm fairly certain that there's not going to be an issue there. It's just a visual thing, but let's just double check and make sure that that's the case. So now that it looks like we're through the questions, let's move over to actual examples of using the software. The first thing I'm going to do is kind of take us through a site build. So if you're looking at Jensen for the first time, you're probably not going to have this campaigns tab. If you already are in here, you might have a campaign set up. Let's go ahead. I'm going to hop into this webinar demo campaign that I've created for this. We can kind of ignore this site here. What I'd like to do is just go through and make a new template from scratch, kind of walk through the builder for 20, 30 minutes, show you what we have going on there, and some kind of the quirks that are going on, how to best use it, how to kind of use it in general. So what I'm going to do is just start a completely new template. Now, once you're starting a new template, you do have, I believe there's about 75 pre-made templates here, or maybe 70, 65 pre-made templates and maybe 10 landing pages or so. You can go through, you can select or preview any one of these templates. To be quite transparent, when we're using this to build out local lead generation websites, we do just go and pull out one of these pre-created templates. We'll go through and we'll change the content, we'll change the images. I'm going to go through right now and just go from scratch, but it is a lot faster. And to me, it makes a lot more sense to just use one of these pre-built templates that we spend a lot of time and money on over the last year or so with Jensen. So that's what I would recommend doing. But in this case, let's go ahead and let's build from scratch. You can also create a random template, which is just going to randomly put blocks together. We're just going to hop right in. So this is the Jensen website builder. Some things to note. You've got different mechanisms up here for viewing different viewports. If you want to see what it's going to look on a desktop, on a tablet, or on a mobile, you can do that right here. This is going to toggle off and on a grid, kind of the grid system that the builder is using. I actually don't really use that at all. So I'm assuming that most of you will probably not need to use that. And then one note here, if you're a free user and you're coming into a template and you've clicked nothing to save, right now the system is picking up that you've created a template already and is stopping you from creating a new template even though you've clicked nothing to save or exit without saving. We're going to be fixing that bug over the next 24 hours here so that you can create as many templates as you want, but only deploy one live so that that issue goes away. One other thing here, we do have a templating substitution engine, if you will. These are going to be all of the variables that we have, and here's a little piece of information of what happens once the variable has been parsed when the site is being deployed. You put the variables in these double brackets, and we'll show a live example of that. So I'm looking at an empty canvas here. Now the builder system works off of a kind of predefined HTML block mechanism. So we've gone and we originally purchased a number of HTML blocks that we chunked out, and over the last, I don't know how long, but we've been continuously adding new blocks to the system. And the way that it works is you just need to pull in one block at a time, and you're just going to stack them to create a page. So what I'm going to do is just kind of quickly create a 3-page website and also have the location page functionality and show people how to use that. So the first thing I'm going to want is to put in a header. We have all these headers here. You can choose from essentially any of them. I'm just going to drag in one of these. And we can see now that the first block of our website is this header. And we can go ahead and we can go through and we can make a number of edits. We can change out images, we can edit the content, edit the links, change the colors of buttons, add new buttons, things of that nature. So we've got the nav bar. Now I'm going to go back to blocks, and let's go ahead and add a hero section. I'm going to add this hero section here. And the next thing I want on my website is probably a content section. Want some words on the page here so that we can actually rank this website one day. I'm going to go ahead and drop that piece of content there. And I'm going to go ahead and also drop this one here. And maybe I'm going to want some feature blocks on my homepage. And let's go ahead and put this in here. And then the last thing I'm going to want, we can put any number of blocks just to make this example go quick so I can get into the builder. I'm going to put in a footer block. And let's go ahead and drop that. And it looks like that block dropped a little bit too high. It's not a problem. We're just going to go ahead and drag the block like that. You just hover over here, and you're going to grab this icon here, and you can drag the blocks up or down. So what we have now is a initial home page. What you're going to do is you want to make sure that both the nav or the header as well as the footer have these global options checked. And I will show you what that does. Let's say we've got this home page done. I'm going to do a little bit more configuration on this, but just want to quickly demo the importance of this global checkbox here. Let's say that we want to make a contact page. So we have the index page or our home page. We have the ability to add new pages as well as folders to make like a subfolder hierarchy. If you want to add a location page, you're going to need to add both of these, which I'll go through, but let's just add a contact page. So I'm going to come through here. We're going to name the page contact, and we're going to click add. And now we can see that we have a new page in the builder, and we have our two blocks that we set to be global that have automatically came over. And let's just go back to our components, sorry, to our blocks, and let's just drag in this contact block here. So I might make a more robust contact block section if I'm doing an actual site. This is just going to be a quick example with a header, a footer, and one form. Let's go back and let's look at our home page. And what we want to make sure is that this link right here is actually linking to our contact page. So the way to do that and interlink any link in a Jensen site is to select it, select the style editor, the detail editor, choose the page that we want to link to, and just click apply changes. Now, anytime we click this link here, it's going to correctly bring us to our contact page. So let's talk about really quickly editing content. This is, I would say, one of the more frustrating quirks of the builder as it stands right now. The text editor that comes naturally that is being changed is unfortunately not very fun to use. So one of the issues is that when you select text, you can lose a lot of style. Sometimes it's not even going to let me select. What I like to do is change the content usually about one character away from the start. So if I've got a chunk of content, I select one character away from the start, press delete, and then delete it. And then I'll type in again, this is my headline. And what that did is it preserved the styling. If you've been using the builder and you collect or you click the text edit button and you select all the text at once, there's a really annoying bug where the style, like the font style of the text that you're editing, disappears. If you follow that kind of quirk of just selecting the second to beginning letter and going to the end and then deleting from there, you can preserve the styling. That obviously is going to be fixed here as we continue to work on the builder, but as of right now, that is a very annoying quirk. So let's look at just changing things like styles such as color. We've got that button here. Maybe we would prefer it to be a different color. We can quickly and easily change colors like that. We have some rudimentary capabilities of editing form inputs, so you can actually come through here, and if we were to properly select this form, this one actually is not working. So there's going to be a number of times where in the builder, if you notice anything that's wrong, simply just give us a live chat message and we'll get it fixed immediately. I'll hop over to another form, but usually when you want to select a form, there's going to be a way that you can kind of dynamically add new form inputs. I'm assuming that this form is just missing a flag on it to be properly edited. We'll cruise through here. I'm going to have a quick look at the templating system. So what we have are these tokens that mix into our templates. Let's say that we go through and we make this template today. Maybe it's a window repair website, maybe it's a solar power website, it doesn't matter. We can use this template across as many websites as we want. The way that we can do that easily is by putting tokens where we would otherwise have content. So we can again view our built-in variables. If you use any of these variables that are pre-built in, they are already going to have a value that's going to be automatically pulled out of the system and assigned. You can also use completely free-form variables. So let's take a look at what a free-form variable is going to look like. I'm going to do the method of selecting the text first after last, and let's say home page content 1, and we'll put that there, and let's maybe say this is going to be home page heading 1. And now what's going to happen is when we click save and continue, the system is going to parse these tokens, and anytime you use this template as you deploy a site, you're going to have an option to put in the text that you'd like to fill here. That text can be spin text, that text can just be normal, and this kind of allows you to build templates in the truest sense of the word template. Again, if you have any questions about these, you can watch a video that we're putting together on an in-depth dive of variables. That is as far as I'm going to go into it right now until we see on the other side. Really quickly, I would like to talk about the location page functionality. So if you've ever built a local service-based website, if you've ever built a local lead gen website, you've probably built out city-specific landing pages. So maybe I have the website losangelesplumbers.com, and I want to build out specific pages targeting cities within Los Angeles. So maybe I have a landing page for Santa Monica, maybe I have a landing page for Hollywood, maybe I have a landing page for Westchester, all of the different areas within there. That actually is completely doable in the Jensen platform. You can create pages on the fly for any city you'd like in an area, and you can even have those pages be able to be leased out to a client on a per page basis. You can have each page have its own phone number bound in the system. You can do a bunch of things with it. So let's go ahead and look at it. Now, the first thing that we're going to need to do is whenever we're adding a location page, we need 2 pages to be added, or at least 2 blocks, if you will. So the first we're going to need is some way for the platform to link to the city pages that we have. And we're going to do that by creating an index page, which is kind of a listing page, if you will. So when we create it, it's going to come out as the service location index. And this is going to be the page where you list all of your locations. So if I go back to the blocks, I might put in a block here that has content. I'm not going to fill it out right now, but if this were a real site I was building, I would probably talk a bit about the services that we provide here. And then the magic block is going to be this service pages block. And for the index page, you can see here we have these 4 blocks that are basically listing locations. What we're going to do is just go ahead and drag one of these listings right here, and it's not going to completely render. It's going to have this preview image, but this is going to, when it deploys live, it's going to have a link for each city attached to this template. So this is the index page. Now, when somebody clicks these links, they need to go to a page, and that page is going to be called the index show page. I actually don't think that it should be called the index show. It should be called the location show. But so now we have the index page, which is the listing page, and we have the service location show page, and this is going to be the template for your actual city page. So let's say in this example, I have 3 cities that I'm building this website for. I've gone in the back end, like we'll see once I go through, and I've attached those cities. When the site gets deployed, this page right here is going to be created 3 times for the 3 different cities, and you can use a number of substitution tokens to put in the city name, the zip code, information specific to this location. What I'm going to do to demo that, let's just put in a content block at the head. I'm just choosing random blocks today. Sometimes I would probably try to choose a little bit more coherent blocks, or else you have to go through and edit the styles of everything. So let's say that I want to say city.name. Let's just say that this is a plumbing website for this fake example. Now what's going to happen is I want the service pages block that is a Google map. We're going to automatically send coordinate data into this page so that this map will render properly. Maybe I've got other content that I want to put in here that can be syntax. If you want to look at the different variables that are going to come with the city, on a city page, it's going to be right here. So you can choose a phone number that is bound to the page. You can have it spit out anywhere. You can choose to spit out the state of this page, the name, the county, the latitude, the longitude. There should be one for zip code. It looks like it's not in here. I will try to loop back around and double check on that. But again, so what we've created now is the service location show page, and we also have the service location index page, which is going to list all of our locations. So what we have now is kind of a 2-page website. It doesn't look very good, but if we were using a pre-built Jensen template, it would look a lot better. Just a quick example of a more built out website. You can see this flwindowpros.com is kind of one of our example templates that we've worked on, that we've edited the images, pushed out live. Here's a better look at what a more coherent Jensen site looks like once you spent some time on it, or you just started with one of our blocks or one of our templates. So while I'm in the builder, let me just talk about some new functionality that recently came out that is still being actively tested. You might have noticed, or you might not have noticed if you've never logged in before, we have this new section for modals. And modals are just the light boxes that pop up. And this is kind of the beginning of our move towards allowing landing pages and funnels, if you will, in the Jensen platform. So if I were to use the modal functionality, I could do something like create a new modal. Let's call this the demo modal. And we have this modal. I can go ahead and I can drag any of my components into this. I might drag a form like so. Sorry, not any of our components. We have special modal components. So let's go ahead and let's drag this one in. So you're going to see this is what our pop-up's going to look like. I believe If we click here, now we can see what editing the form is going to look like. We can dynamically add inputs, and it's going to add a new form field to be pushed through. We can change things like the styling, but let's kind of just leave this here. I want to demo what's going to happen to use a modal. So let's say we've got this modal. We can choose the message that gets sent if you just want to send people a message instead of a form. Let's go ahead and hop over here, back to my site, away from my modal. Okay, so let's say in this imaginary scenario that I don't have this form here. Actually, I believe you can edit the form. Yeah, so if you click on the inside of the input instead of on the outside, you can edit the form here. Otherwise, you're going to edit the form backdrop. So let's say I have a single page landing page. Maybe I would like to have a user land on this page, have them click a button, it'll pop up a modal, and then they'll be redirected to a thank you page. We can now do that inside Jensen. All you would do is simply grab a button, and you're going to assign the modal that you just created to that button. And then you're just going to click apply changes. I'm not going to do that right now because I don't want it to affect going through the wizard on the next side. But essentially, once you've done that, you'll then be able to configure the form on this demo modal to land on a thank you page. And you can just create the thank you page by clicking add page, dragging in some blocks that make a thank you page, and then voila, you have a very simple local funnel capability. Again, this is going to be one of the things that I'll probably spend an entire day in the next few weeks on a Wednesday. Today, I just want to take us on this grand meandering tour so that by the time that we're done, you at least have an idea of everything that's possible in the platform. And then on a case-by-case basis, we'll kind of deep dive in and flesh out the feature and show some live examples. That's just a quick walkthrough of what I'm going to do there. So let's say that we're done with this website. We've got our city location pages or our service location pages. We've got 2 pages, a home page, a thank you page. The next thing I'm going to do, one thing we could do is we can preview the template that we built. I'm going to allow myself to have pop-ups, and you're going to see that the theme is now previewable on a temporary Jensen URL. So you can kind of, before you've made the decision to push the site live, you can see it and you can play with it and you can watch what it does, and you can let us know if there's anything at all that you'd like fixed or anything that you'd like made easier. We will get into the reCAPTCHA and putting form security in the next step, but this is just something so that you can see we've got our 2 contact pages, or we got our home page and our contact page, and we could have an about page, but we don't have it. Because the site hasn't been deployed yet, the tokens are not going to be changed out, so you'll still see the raw tokens. So let's say, okay, we like the preview. Let's now go ahead and save and continue. And once we've gone through a template, we are going to jump into our site creation wizard. So the template is one thing in the system, and now that's kind of saved. You can use templates from multiple sites. There's, I believe, no limit on how many templates you can use across any site. But on a per site basis, what's going to happen is we're going to be deploying and configuring everything for you, from the domain to the website to the hosting to the email, as well as pretty much anything that you could imagine for your website. So I'm going to cruise through these one at a time. Let's talk about buying a domain through the system. I briefly touched on this, I think, at the beginning of this webinar. You have the ability to either buy a domain directly through us, or you can come with your own domain. So if you come with your own domain, you come in here, you're just going to add it here. I've already added some example fake domains here, but if you have a real domain, you put it in, you click add domain, and you're going to go through the wizard, and everything is going to be the same minus a few steps. When you get done with the wizard, we're going to give you an alert or a notification with the DNS settings that you need to set to connect your website to Jensen. Let's go ahead and let's go through having our own domain purchased, and so we can see the system in action. I'm hoping that we can figure things in time. Sometimes the nature of DNS and Namecheap in general is it takes a little bit of time between a domain being purchased and things being live. But let's try to do a test jensenwebinar.com URL. Now again, this is going to be purchased directly in our Namecheap account. We do not claim ownership of your domains. We're going to simply purchase it in our account, generate an invoice for you that your account will pay, and we hold it so that we can configure it programmatically. If at any point you buy a site through us and you would like it back or you'd like it to go do different things with, simply hit up our support. You will just need to give us your Namecheap account ID and we can get that transferred over to you. But what I'm going to do is purchase this system or this domain right now, and that is going to go through, and theoretically it will purchase the domain. Let's let it work here. It's now the domain has been purchased, so we have testjensenwebinar.com purchase. This could have been like myplumbingleadsinlosangeles.com or any number of things. This just happens to be what I'm going to use today. So we've already decided on the template that we're going to use. If you were coming through the campaign and you wanted to add a site directly to a campaign, you could just reuse that template on this step. You'd see a listing of all the templates we have. We're going to skip that. So DNS, when we, as in Jensen, own the domain and configure it ourselves, that means that we can either use the default Namecheap settings or we can use the Cloudflare DNS option, which means that we're automatically going to pipe your domain through Cloudflare. We'll handle 100% of the configuration for either of these options, but essentially if you'd like to use Cloudflare, you can. If you'd like to just use Namecheap raw, you can. I'm going to keep it like that. So the next thing we have is email configuration. Every single Jensen site that is either automatically purchased by us or configured by you comes with free email. So you'll be able to have an email on the site that you can use with one of the substitution tokens. Somebody can email that and it will pipe directly through to your Jensen email. You can also have it pipe directly through to your clients. There's a bunch of different things you can do with that, but we are, I believe, the system is wired up to a platform called Mailgun, which kind of handles forwarding of emails for us, and everything is done automatically. I'm going to click to the next step. All right, so we've got the phone configuration. So every site has a main phone number, and every site has the ability to bind specific phone numbers to specific pages. So for right now, you can choose a Twilio number if you've connected a Twilio account, and then you'll have to configure that number. Or you could come in and you could connect your Callfire account, or you could connect your CallRail account. If you already have your Twilio account connected and you'd like to buy a new number, you can go ahead and come through here and you can buy any of the numbers in any of these countries directly through the platform. If you are using the platform and you're not using it for one of these countries here, let's say, for instance, we had a customer from Brazil last week. You can go ahead and log into your Twilio account. You can purchase any phone number that they support. So they have, I think, around 100 countries supported, maybe even more. You can purchase the numbers that you would like for, let's say, Brazil, any unsupported Jensen country in your Twilio account. Come into Jensen and you can click the sync button in the call center, and we're going to go ahead and pull that number in, and you can configure it just like any other Twilio/Jensen number. The only, I guess, block we have is that these are the only native countries that we can buy in. So what I mean by that is if you choose USA, you can actually come through, choose any of the cities, and then we're going to go ahead and show you numbers that you can buy with a single click. All you have to do is click one of these, click next, and you're going to have bought that number. I'm just going to go ahead and assign one of these random test numbers to this site. The phone format settings. So this is just choosing how you want your phone number to display on your site. Let's go ahead and I'm just going to use this E164 format, and let's click next. So we've got the phone configured. The next thing when you're going through the Jensen wizard, every single form that we've added is going to be parsed and configured. So this is our form on our home page. This is our form on our contact us page. I'm just going to walk us through what a form configuration looks like. So again, you have the ability to immediately respond, or actually this is going to be the message that pops up in the modal once somebody submitted a form. You can choose to have this form email people. So anytime this form gets submitted, you can add multiple emails here. Make sure you press enter after you've added them, as well as notifications via phone. Add as many phone numbers as you want here. Make sure you press enter in between. And then on this level here, you can also choose whether or not you want this form to leak its source, essentially. So if you generate a lead from this form, do you want these notification numbers and emails to find out what website this form's attached to? If you have this not checked, it's just going to say whatever campaign generated this lead. So if I have it checked and a lead comes through, it's going to say, hey, testjensenwebinar.com generated a lead. If I don't have it checked, it's just going to say, hey, test campaign generated a lead. Moving through, we have the ability to assign forms to a billing plan. So let's say I have a site with 3 pages, 3 different cities, 3 different clients. Each of those clients is going to have its own billing plan. Each page that the client is buying leads from is going to have every form is going to be assigned to the billing page specific to that client. If that sounds a little convoluted, it is a little bit convoluted. But again, we will deep dive into all of these specifics as we move forward. I just want to make sure that you ladies and gentlemen kind of have an idea of everything that's going on. Again, you can bind a form directly to a client this way right here. This is going to be populated with any clients that you have. I'm not going to bind it right now. And then you do have the ability to assign a lead dialer to every single form, whether it's a form inside Jensen or a form on one of your external sites that you add through our JavaScript snippet. We're going to get into the lead dialer in hopefully the next, 10 or 15 minutes once I get to the call tracker. Essentially, the lead dialer is going to provide the ability for you to turn any form submit into a phone call. So if our form has a phone number attribute, you can create a lead dialer and attach it to this form by clicking active and selecting the lead dialer. And every single time that this form gets submitted, it's going to execute the lead dialer, which is essentially going to call either the agent or the lead, depending on which one you select to be called first. And it's going to put whoever answers first into a waiting room, and then it's going to dial the other leg. So let's say I have a lead dialer set up. It gets the lead called first, then the agent. This form gets submitted. The lead dialer automatically calls the lead, says, hello, you've got a waiting call with an agent. Please select a button. Please press any button to be connected. The lead presses a button. They get dropped into a waiting room. Then the system dials the agent, says, hello, you have a lead waiting for you. Please press any button to be connected. The agent presses a button. Now the conference call is bridged, and you have just turned a form submit into an active phone call. Moving down, we have the Jensen autoresponder. So this is the ability to automatically send an email to anybody who submits your form, as long as that form has an email attribute. And if you click yes to this, you can just type in the email subject and the email body. and the system is going to automatically respond. I believe the response is going to come through the email configured for the domain. And the last thing on our form configuration is the autoresponder. So if I had MailChimp connected right now, which I probably should have done, you'll have the ability to select a MailChimp list, and you will have the ability to send over the information that comes through the form submit. So let's say I had maybe a form with a user or a name, first name, last name, phone number, email. I'll be able to pass that form information directly over to MailChimp to start things like maybe an automated sequence, whatever it is that you're doing that requires an autoresponder, you have the ability to do that. So I'm going to skip this. I believe we can push through. I'm not going to configure the other variable. Now, or sorry, the other form. Now we're on the variables page. Again, if you want to get a little overview, you can watch Mr. Luckenbaugh walk us through right here, or you can see a list of the default variables here. And we can also see that this input should probably be a bit bigger, but when I made that custom variable on the homepage and I called one of the text blocks homepage heading 1 as well as homepage content 1, now what I can do is every time I deploy this template to a new website, I could come in here and I could paste in a bunch of new text, and I could paste in, this is going to be site number 1 heading, and this is going to be site number 1 content. I've also got a company name, Jensen webinar test, and we've got a variable called cities that is somewhere in our template. We've got these social variables. These are going to be pulled into the header and the footer in your navigation links. If you have the social links, you'll go ahead and drop those in here. Every site will be new. We can go ahead and move past this. And now we're on the security steps. So every single form in the platform has the ability to automatically be integrated with Google reCAPTCHA. In order to do that, what you're going to have to do is log in to the Google reCAPTCHA system. You will go ahead and just Google reCAPTCHA. You sign up for free. We are using the reCAPTCHA version 2.0. I believe we're on 2.0. Once you've selected that you want to add a site on the 2.0 version in the Google reCAPTCHA console, you'll be able to add a URL. In this case, I would go and I'd add the URL testjensenwebinar.com. On the Google side, it's going to give me back a site key and a secret. I'm going to click enabled, put my site key in here, put my secret in here, and then when I click next, or if the site's already deployed, I click save. Every single form on this site is now going to be protected from spam with Google reCAPTCHA. So moving down, we have the SEO settings tabs. Now, this is going to allow you to add the verification token for Google Search Console, as well as all of your meta parameters. So you can add in your title, your meta description, and your keywords. Now, if you click on the advanced setup, that is going to give you a view to probably what we as SEOs are going to want to see. And we can see for each page in the system and edit the meta title description keywords and add custom JavaScript for every page. So for this home page, I might say, hello, this is my home page title. You would obviously use a much more SEO optimized title. I'm going to say, hello, this is my homepage description. And I don't really add SEO keywords in, so I'm going to leave that blank. If I had any scripts that I wanted just to execute on the homepage, I could put them right here. I'm going to move down the contact page. If I wanted to edit the SEO stuff for that, that would be right here. And then we have our service location index page where I can change the title, description, keywords. And we have the service location show page. I'm quickly wondering if there needs to be the difference between this section right here as well as these sections here. I think possibly this might be a bug. Maybe if there's any engineers watching this, if you can give me a message on whether or not this is a bug or if we do need to configure both of these sections. I'll get that figured out for us. Either way, this is where you're going to configure the meta description, meta title for the location pages. Let's say I'm on the location show page. What I believe you can do is you can say, this is my title for city.name, and every page is now going to have a title that includes the name of that city for whatever city you're viewing. Real quick, I believe, so you can ignore these two, we'll get those removed. When you're dealing with the location pages, you just need to be working in this block. And then this is going to allow you to add CSS and custom styles to the location page headers. Again, let me know if you guys have any questions about this section. I feel like it's fairly self-explanatory, but it does get a little bit unruly, especially if you have a bunch of pages. And I'm going to get through the next two sections here, and then I'll go through and pick up any questions that we've had along the way. Again, so we have the billing settings. I believe that this is supposed to be optional, and for some reason it's not optional. So let's just say, for instance, that you're on this page and you don't really care about billing and you just want to get past it. Let's say maybe you do care about billing and you want to know what's in the billing tab, so we'll just go through that. So I'm going to make a billing profile, and you can have a number of billing profiles attached to campaigns, or you can have billing profiles attached to websites. In this case, I'm going to say this is a test billing. Let's just call it test billing. And you can choose the billing interval. So maybe you want your client who's coming into you have a lead gen site built on Jensen, you have a client coming in, they want to buy leads. If you want to build them once a week, if you want to build them once every other week, or if you want to build them once a month, you can click one of these options and then just choose the day that you'd like them to be billed on. The delay option is simply going to tell how many days between an invoice being generated for your clients and them actually having their card charged do you want there to be. So for a lot of customers, they bill a client on, let's say, Friday for leads for the last 2 weeks, and then as soon as the invoice shows up, the client goes through and tries to dispute a couple of the leads. This allows us to say, okay, if we wanted to bill on Friday, that's when the invoice will be delivered, and then maybe we'll do Saturday, Sunday. We'll delay 3 days. I believe actually delaying 2 days will give us until Monday so Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday will be charged. I might need to double check that. It might actually need to be 3. The day the invoice is generated, the next day would be 2, and the following day, Sunday, would be 3. But that's what the delay does. It allows there to be some buffer between a client getting an invoice and a client getting billed. The lead approval section. So there's a couple of different ways that you can set up lead approval. Let's say we built this site, we have a client attached. We can choose that every single lead that comes through before the client sees it in their dashboard, that's going to come into our dashboard and we have to approve it, and then it'll be available in their dashboard. If we choose all leads are approved by default, as soon as a lead comes in, it's going to be viewable immediately by the client user in their special dashboard. And you can also choose automatically approved leads older than 1 week, and that just is a rolling system where every week, if you haven't got to your leads to approve or deny them, they're all going to be approved. You can charge VAT if you happen to be in Europe, and you can also choose to bill per lead or on a fixed price. So we do have some customers, let's say you have a website or even a client, a number of clients buying leads off of a website. Let's say you have 5 clients buying leads off of one website from a number of different location pages. You can have a very flexible billing system where maybe one of those clients is going to pay you just a flat rate, $500 a month. So we come through, we create a fixed billing plan, $500 a month. Maybe we've got another client that wants to pay $20 a phone call and $40 a form lead. You can come in, charge per lead on a new billing profile, put in a custom price for form leads as well as calls, as well as Facebook leads, and you can also choose what the billing threshold is. So let's say that we're not using fixed, we're doing per lead. We have a weekly bill, or let's say to make it easy, we have once a month billing, and we have $10 form leads, $10 calls, $10 Facebook leads, and the billing threshold is $100. What this means is in the course of a month, if I've generated more than 10 leads, or even at the point that I generate 10 leads, it's going to hit this billing threshold and the system is automatically going to invoice the customer. If you leave this blank, it's not going to ever hit a threshold, and once the billing day hits, it's going to tally up all of the leads that have been generated and make the invoice. So for this example, I'm just going to change these to 0.1 and the billing threshold up high, and we'll just create this kind of dummy billing plan, and we'll move right through. And this is our second to last step when creating a Jensen website. Now, if you're familiar with webhooks, Jensen can receive webhooks to create things like leads and lead dialer events, but we can also send webhooks. So this site can be enabled to have a webhook URL, and we can send events. The 3 events we send right now are when the site has a lead that was created, when the site has a lead that was approved, and when the site has a lead that was rejected. You can use any third-party service that accepts JSON webhooks. You just put the URL in here, and you can add as many webhooks as you want. This is a way to kind of get your lead data out of Jensen. We do have some other custom integrations on the webhook side. Again, feel free to reach out if you have anything custom or technical that you're interested if we can do. There's probably a good chance that we already have some of the mechanisms built out to do it. I'm going to go ahead and delete that, and let's click next. And we have successfully gone through and created our first Jensen site. I am going to click on our URL, and in the time that we just went through that wizard, we have a completely configured Jensen site. It looks like HTTPS, which should be there, isn't there. That is actually a bug. It should automatically come out SSL enabled. But if we look at the website, we do have a fully launched flat HTML website that loads quickly. If we had gone through and built out real content, we could start ranking this right away. We can go ahead and view the page source. Now, we do realize that the Jensen website builder is certainly not one of the best website builders to ever be created. It is really bad at a lot of things, but one of the things that it's really good at is generating coherent HTML. So these sites are actually super well structured, partially because we went ahead and pre-built all of the HTML blocks by hand. It's really easy to get these sites indexing, to get these sites ranking. You can push out a site, start building citations, start building some links, and see some movement pretty quickly. Because of the templating system, you can also use the platform to, let's say you're launching 5 sites at the same time in the same niche, trying to make use of the random ranking factor, something that Kyle Terry or Terry Kyle used to talk about 5 or 6, 7 years ago, about how Google has a certain amount of randomness to its algorithm, where if you launch 1 site or 5 sites, a number of those sites just Google won't like for whatever reason, and a number of them that it might like. So this kind of platform allows you to quickly test markets, to quickly test getting things out there, seeing what sites Google actually likes immediately, and then moving from there. So let's take a quick look while I'm here. Now this is going to be the site view, and every Jensen site, or whether it's external, whether it's built by us, whether we own the domain, whether we don't own the domain, it's going to come equipped with a number of things. We're going to have the phone number automatically integrated, so you can see here that this phone number is now live, as well as this email. Both of these this email is already configured. This phone number will go through and configure. You can see that you can have a fully capable website deployed with call tracking almost instantly. The website comes with keyword tracking, so we have simple keyword tracking. I think we have a limit right now of 10 keywords per site. We are, I believe, just parlaying keyword tracking data from another service, but it allows for really easy monitoring of our lead generation sites that are relying on organic traffic. Probably wouldn't be using the keyword tracker for any paid traffic landing pages, but again, we have keyword tracking for Jensen websites. We have the ability to connect your Google Analytics account here, and it'll immediately start pulling the Google Analytics data. You do have a temporary website that you can see. This one it might throw an SSL cert error, maybe because that first error. Let's see if I can just add a security exception for this. Unfortunately, I can't. Well, in most of the day, when you click this temp button, this is going to be a temporary domain that actually has the phone number and all of the substitution tokens pushed through, instead of like that original template preview where it doesn't have any of the substitution token variables. This preview will have them all when it works. And moving through the options here for the site, we do have every site you attach is now going to have a leads tab. And so instead of clicking here to see all the leads across the entire platform, when we're viewing a site and we click the leads tab, we are going to be able to view the leads just for the site. And let's quickly hop over to this publishing tab before I get into location tab. So this is a bit of a technical page. I'm not even sure if this page will be around forever, but essentially if you ever make some changes to your template and you're not seeing it live for whatever reason on the website, you can come to this publishing page. You can click the Publish Now tab, and what that's going to do is just push out the latest HTML, CSS for the template onto the assigned deployment server. And if we refresh this page after that, I'm thinking you'll see a little bit of a log, what's going on in the background. So we just had a successful deploy there. That's a quick note on this page. Now let's look at our location page. So this section is a little bit confusing, and hopefully this will help unconfuse it a bit. So one of the first things that needs to happen before I can do anything on this page is we have to make sure that we have the service location index and the service location show page created in the template. Once it's created in the template, what we'll then be able to do is come to our site location tab. And right now we support all of these countries here, so you can build location pages for sites in Australia, Canada, England, Northern Ireland, Scotland, the United States, and Wales. If you guys are trying to build websites in other countries and you'd like to have those countries supported, just reach out to us through the live chat, let us know, and we will let you know timeline on getting your country added. So I'm going to choose the US. And let's say that I want to have a few Los Angeles pages. So I'm going to go through, choose California, and let's pull LA County. Now we have the option to just select all, and we will literally create a page for every single city within LA County. What I would rather do right now for this example is just show couple of city pages going in. So I'm going to pick a couple at random. Let's say West Hollywood, Whittier. All right, so what I'm not going to do is actually select any of these because it looks like the checkbox isn't working. I'm assuming that's probably because I'm using a browser that we haven't recently tested. When you do this, you'll do the exact same thing, and let's see if I can click select all. No, I can click nothing at all. So that's really unfortunate for this example. What happens, I'll just kind of walk us through this. Again, I kind of at least gave a little bit of a warning that this was possible. I guess no clicking is better than a 500 error. When you guys get into this, I'll get this fixed ASAP. You will be able to click any of these buttons, and what that's going to do is allow you to add the check cities into the table. Oh, I guess actually we added the check cities. It just, there's a CSS bug where I can't see on Firefox, but okay, perfect. So this is what happens when you check the cities. You click add check cities, and now this is going to be each location page for the site. I would prefer to not have as many as I just added. I like to kind of go a little bit slower when I'm building out city pages, but for this example, it's okay. We're going to have a listing per location, and we can go ahead and we can edit the information. So this is coming from our database, but again, you can customize this. So for Alhambra, if I wanted to put in a new lat long, I could do that. I could overwrite that. I could overwrite the zip code. And most importantly, I can choose to assign a unique phone number per page, or I can buy a new phone number for this page. So again, every single location page, right now, because the site has one global number, they're all going to get this number. But if, for instance, I wanted to lease this page out to its own customer or to a different customer with a new phone number, I could do that. And the form said by phone number, but it should actually have said assigned number. And now we can see that this page for Acton, Los Angeles is going to have a new phone number. What I'm going to go ahead and do is click update site, and there's a 35% chance that this will just break everything. And it looks like it worked successfully. So now what has happened is the system should have automatically deployed the changes live. Anytime where you make changes in the Jensen wizard, in the Jensen interface, that should go live. I believe the system pushes it out live automatically. Just to double check that, you can click the publishing tab and you can see that yes, indeed, the system did automatically deploy. Let's kind of hop over. Let me go back. Let's hop over. I want to just test really quick if we have HTTPS on the root domain. Maybe it's just the www. Oh, okay. Well, I guess SSL, for whatever reason, wasn't quite verified at the first time I loaded this page. But now we do have the SSL certificate has automatically been configured, it's automatically been generated. Every single site gets a Let's Encrypt SSL cert, and let's see, service location index. So now that the site has been redeployed, I usually would have a link like service locations. I didn't, so the service location index page is automatically assigned to this URL here. You can rename this if you'd like it to be named something else. So what we're looking at is the service location index page from the builder, except for now it actually has the cities of this site displayed here. So I can click through to any one of these and it's going to actually show me. So if you remember, I used the city.name variable token with the word plumbing, and we've now got this Google map that has properly zeroed in on the coordinates of this location. I could have spent more time building out custom little components for the city's specific location pages. This was just a quick example, but that is kind of the 30,000 foot view of how to build a site with service location pages in this. Looks like we're on now about 90 minutes into the webinar, but over the last 90 minutes, we've created a page or a website with what looks to be over 100 location pages. That is kind of the power or the magic of the location page functionality. I'm going to quickly hop over into our question and answer section. And feel free, if you guys have any questions up until now, we still have a bit more to go through. I'm going to walk us through connecting an external site, connecting a Facebook campaign, what's going on in the leads tab, and then go through the call center. If you have any questions about what we've gone up to thus far, I'll just go ahead and kind of look through this. Let's say we have Nathaniel is asking, can you show how the call tracking invoices work? Yes, we will get to that. I'll go through the invoices when we get there. Nathaniel, is there a cheat sheet for those dynamic tags? Jordan is asking. Yes, there is, Jordan. I believe it's that URL, or it's in a modal dropdown. We can go ahead and add that to our help center and just have a much better link for that. I'll get that done for you. Oh, it looks like I already answered your question. Okay, it looks like Jordan's asking, I select to use my own domain and it says a name has already been taken. Jordan, there has been some issues where sometimes the domain name gets assigned in a weird way or doesn't get unassigned from a previous site that you've attached it to. If you just hit up the live chat, we can easily get that resolved for you, and I will take a look and see how we can make it not happen again, but that is a quick fix. Craig is asking, do the variable input boxes accept HTML? I.e., that's a good question. Do the variable input boxes accept HTML? I'll have to. They do, yes. And they properly render the HTML is what I'm hearing. So the answer to that is, Craig, yes. The second answer to that is test it and confirm that yes is correct. So we've got Craig also asking if we wanted to add tag manager, is there a way to add the tag script to trigger on all pages? So you're asking for essentially a global JavaScript input. I believe that there is a global JavaScript input. Yes, there is. I believe if you scroll all the way to the bottom of that SEO tab on the sites wizard, that's going to be your global input, and that's going to render in the head of every page. Jamie, I'm getting to your question in regards to schema. Schema is a big thing on our list to do. I actually do not believe most of the blocks don't have predetermined schema built in. It is something that I would like to spend some time going through. I do like to add schema in by hand, and there's certainly a bunch of opportunities for us to do that. If you're referring to JSON LD, we don't have any native integration for that quite yet. There's definitely still a lot of work that we're planning to do on the interface and the usability of the website builder. And I think once we get through a lot of that, some of the things like schema and having native schema integrations and native schema creators are definitely something we want to see in the platform. Jamie's got another question. Can we see the dashboard client would see when reviewing leads generated? Yes. So we can, if you go to the client's page and you add yourself as a fake client, is what we always do. So you'll have to go ahead and create your Stripe account. You add a fake client, you assign it to a site, and you log in as your fake client. Then you'll be able to see the dashboard that they see. Dave is saying, I didn't see how the cities were automatically added. So let me just quickly show you again, Dave. So again, inside the template, we added the service location index page. We added the service location show page. Then we went into the site wizard. We went through the site wizard. After we went through the site wizard, we got spit out on this page right here. And once we're looking at the main site view, we just go and we select the locations. And then we can go through, since I've already selected the location in the US, we can go through and we can select other locations. I'm not going to do that, but you have the ability, if you want, to build out a site that just has more than one county. Let me go back into LA County. If you're using Chrome, you should not have this visual bug at all, but essentially if you want to add a location page, you just come through here, you click the checkbox next to whatever pages you want within your county, and you click add checked cities. Once you click that, those are all going to populate into this table here. And once you've gone through and you've made sure that all this information is correct, you've assigned the phone numbers that you would like to specific pages, you scroll all the way down this ginormous table, and then you click the Update Jensen Site button, and that's going to automatically re-parse and redeploy your site with the new location pages. Hope that answered your questions. So we're getting into some more questions from Jamie. So SEO stuff. Jamie, let me go back into the builder. So the answer to your question about SEO stuff, H1 tags, H4 tags, is that it's not quite, especially from the fact that we are actual SEOs, it's not quite as integrated as I would like. So let's go ahead. I'm going to hop back into this homepage. Let's look at this heading. I believe that we do have the ability. So I thought there was going to be an easier way to see if this was an H1 or an H2. It's not. What you can do is actually every single one of these blocks can be edited visually, or if you know a little bit of HTML or you want to have the actual power, you just click on any block, the code icon, and you're literally going to get access to the raw HTML. And all you'd have to do is come through here, and you can see now that this is an H1. This is the way that you can go ahead and come edit. Let's change this to maybe we want it to be an H2. We'll cruise through here. Here's the closing of the H1. We'll make it an H2. We just click save, and now this is an H2. I do have a wish list item where in the SEO wizard over here, you'll be able to see a count on every single page of not only the word count, but also the keyword density, as well as a number of H1s, H2s, and so forth. But for right now, that is the way to control the H1s. Video blocks. That's a great question. Builder blocks for videos. I know that I believe we have some builder blocks that accept videos. That is going to be a great question. So we have some slideshows. I believe that once upon a time we did have video blocks, and I believe that at some point between right now and that time, maybe those video blocks got cut out for some reason. If you really do want video blocks, Jamie, just hit us up via live chat and we will see about getting some custom video blocks in. Building custom blocks isn't really that difficult. So adding pixels is going to be done through the JavaScript section, through the snippet section, sorry, through the input on the SEO tab on the site wizard. That's where you would drop all JavaScript and all pixels, tracking pixels, things of that nature. Paul, when you ask if we accept PayPal, do you mean us personally as a software platform, or do you mean do we accept PayPal for you to accept from your clients? I guess it doesn't matter which one of those you mean, because as of right now, no, we don't accept PayPal in any form. I know that is something that we are hoping to bring over, at least on the subscription side, where if you want to pay for Jensen, you can use PayPal to pay us monthly. As of right now, no, we do have some bad feelings about PayPal, but we do realize it's important, so we will definitely give it in. Okay, so we've got another question. Tony says, great webinar for showing the features. Will you be giving training on the business side, i.e. how to get clients? That's a great question, Tony. So if you guys aren't familiar, if you haven't seen any of our launches over the last year or so, we do actually have a private lead gen forum on forum.jensen.ai. So if you just go in your browser to forum.jensen.ai, you're going to see this forum here. You're actually not going to see this forum because this is the full premium forum. There's going to be a lot of training in here. If you are just a regular user, you're going to have access to like the software subscriber tab. You're going to have access to the bug feature tab. We do a webinar every Thursday with the pay-per lead forum, and that's kind of where we do our client training, client acquisition. Mark Luckenbaugh runs the Thursday webinars and kind of talks on the business side. As of right now, the plan for Wednesdays is for me to mostly talk about the technical side of lead gen. So I'm involved in a lot of the campaign creation, a lot of the stuff on AdWords, obviously a lot of the stuff with our landing pages. Pretty much anything technical falls within my wheelhouse. A lot of the business side of the training is definitely going to be best reserved for Mark. So if you'd like, I can talk to you about getting into the forum for those Thursday training webinars. I can also talk to Mark about maybe doing a teaser webinar where we do a free webinar for all of the users and kind of give a taste of what the business training side looks like. And as well as all of that, in the next, I don't want to speak too early, but I'm going to. We actually are coming up with a pretty big client acquisition / lead generation course that we're working on. It should be ready sometime in the next, I want to say 4 to 5 weeks. That's going to be live examples of building a pay-per-lead agency. That's going to be live examples of setting up campaigns A to Z, everything from starting with nothing to having landing pages that are getting AdWords traffic and creating actual leads, as well as connecting those leads to the clients that you use the client acquisition methods to get in the first place. So we do have a lot of training going that way. Let's see, Tony Cook, schema on the header. Yes, you can. Can the call tracker record all calls, e.g. those from the sites and others driven from Facebook and Google pay-per-call? Yes, we'll get into the call tracker as soon as I roll through these questions. But yes, the call tracker can record all calls. It can also optionally not record if you're working in sensitive niches. So we've got a question from Adam here. Can the location URLs be changed to not include the service location as the parent? I'm going to say yes to that, Adam. There is a way to customize the service location URL. Can I get a confirmation on that statement, please? I'm going to say yes, but let me just double check here. I believe the way to do that is you want to go to the Locations tab, and this service page prefix is how you change that initial parent folder, if you will, Adam. So that if you wanted to update that, if you wanted to just say locations, you could just put locations in here. If you wanted to say, no, actually you'd probably do locations. It's a good question. Maybe you'd leave this blank and this would, I have to double check now that I'm getting a little bit deeper into thought on this. So yes is the answer. I believe you can customize it. I'm a little bit confused as to the customization as it relates to the index page versus just the service page, but you would use this area here to kind of customize that. And it looks like Paul was asking about PayPal on the software side. So that's actually a lot closer of an integration as far as you being able to pay for Jensen with PayPal than you being able to accept charges from your clients for leads over PayPal. And yes, we do definitely have a PayPal integration coming. So hopefully that answers your question there. Okay, so I'm going to move back through. We have gone over the profile side of Jensen. We've gone over the builder. While I remember, the builder does automatically create sitemaps. Every single site you deploy comes with an XML sitemap automatically deployed and regenerated as you edit the site. We tried to cover almost every single base that we could think of on the SEO side, and we are obviously still covering more as we continue to build this thing out. Let's talk about having a site that maybe is already generating leads. Maybe it's a WordPress site. Maybe for whatever reason you don't want to use the Jensen builder, but you still want to use the Jensen technology. I'm going to go into my webinar demo. So what you can do in that case is you can just connect an existing site. Now, what I'm going to do is come here. I'm going to click on the Connect New Site button on the campaign level. I'm going to say test webinar externalsite.com. This can be obviously any domain that you own. In this example, I have testwebinarexternalsite.com. That maybe is a WordPress website. It's been around for 10 years. It's already generating leads. I absolutely don't want to rebuild it in HTML. I don't really want to touch it. So what I'm going to do is add it as an external site. You go through the same wizard where now you can choose the phone number. The only difference is that instead of having the substitution token in an HTML template, you're now going to get a JavaScript snippet that you put in your external site, and you'll just have to put a CSS class around your phone number for the JavaScript snippet to be able to pick up and replace your phone number. So just to go over that one more time, when you're using an external site, you can have the power of Jensen to do both phone call tracking as well as form submit tracking by creating a JavaScript or creating an external site in our system. We're going to hand you back JavaScript, and then we're going to give you some instructions for you to be able to properly listen to your forms and to properly replace your phone numbers in your HTML when visitors load your website. So I'm going to go, I'll just select another one of these numbers. Again, you can do the exact same thing where you can throw in one of your call fire numbers, you can throw in your call rail number, you can buy a new number. You can choose what format you want to insert the phone number in. And then this option here is going to choose where and when you want the phone number to swap in. So if you're adding a new campaign and you want this number to only come in when the traffic is direct, you can choose direct traffic. When you click referral source, there's supposed to be a little drop down that allows you to add the referral source. I don't know why it's not there. You can choose always on, and that's going to always put your snippet in. Let's go with that option. I'm going to go through the next. You do have the option to add in your Google Analytics account. This should probably have a link to the integrations page, but again, if I were to add it, I would just hop over to the integrations page, go through OAuth my Google Analytics account, and would be on to the next one. So again, we have a billing plan. I'm just going to use the test billing plan I created earlier. We can have webhooks fire for this external site. I'm going to skip through this. We can choose what pages to add phone numbers to. So again, this is only for external sites. I have a bunch of unique pages. I can put in the relative path on this side. So maybe it is contact us. And you can go through and you can select any of your phone numbers that aren't already assigned to this site and or to another site, and that will go ahead and the JavaScript will know when somebody loads. Let's say that this is a location page. Let's say, for instance, that this is locations Los Angeles, and you could put a Los Angeles phone number in here. Now your external site has the magical power of the Jensen system, each page with its own phone number. Once you've got through that, what we're looking at is the final step of the wizard. And what we're essentially going to do is we're going to spit back this script tag for you. You can click here, that'll automatically copy it to your clipboard. And you're going to want to put this in the head of every single page on your site. So you have a WordPress site, all you'd have to do is go into the WordPress theme editor and go into the header.php or head.php file, and you would just drop this in there, and that would be active across every single page on your site. You need to know two things when using the JavaScript snippet. One is that when you're tracking phone calls and when you're replacing phone calls, you add the Jensen underscore phone or Jensen hyphen phone class. If it's a phone number that's just directly in text, like a paragraph tag, a span tag, or a div, you can just add the class directly into that parent HTML object. If you are in a link, you are going to add this Jensen phone link class, and that's going to be able to intelligently replace your href for the phone call as well as the value of the phone number at the same time. The third thing that the Jensen snippet can do for your external sites is you can actually choose to pop up a Jensen modal. Now, this is going to be for initiating a lead dialer. So let's say I have a page on my own website. I want to create the ability for my traffic to instantly get connected with a call just by submitting a form or just by submitting a modal. They can, and that's unfortunate because usually this is supposed to pop up the modal so that you can see the example. I guess it's not working today. This is going to allow you to pop up this little modal that I really wish I could show you. It just has an option for the customer, the traffic of the website, to put in their phone number, put in their name. When they click submit, it automatically generates the Jensen lead dialer, which connects them to an agent. We also have form tracking in the Jensen JavaScript. So the form tracking is a little bit complex. Once you have the Jensen JavaScript snippet installed, the first thing you're going to do is go ahead and submit any of your forms on your website. And what that is going to do is that is going to start pumping your leads are your form submits through this page right here. So again, I'm on the site view page for this external site. It has most of the same options as our Jensen site, except for instead of location pages and publishing, we have the site forms tab. I'm going to hit on the site forms tab, and as leads start coming through, so as form submits start happening, we're going to automatically be listening to every single form on your website. I believe, let me hop back. You're going to have to put in, make sure that you have an ID, a CSS ID on your form if you want it to be properly tracked. So you have a site, you have a form, you have an ID on that form. Once a lead comes through the form, it's going to come through the site forms table right here, and you're going to have an action where you can say track leads from this source. So if you have forms that maybe you don't want to have count as leads, you don't have to track them. If you do want them to count as leads, you're going to see them come up in this table. And what you're going to do is you're going to have a number of options for that form. The Jensen JavaScript snippet is, okay, let's say, for instance, this is going to be my quote form. It has a CSS ID of quote form on my external site. I want the options of this form to be set to track the leads, which means when a form gets submitted, it's automatically going to pipe that data into this leads tab. Then I have these other configuration options. So submit original form, that means that when the user clicks submit on your site, whatever happens when that user always clicks submit is going to happen. Nothing's going to change. If you would like to kind of hijack your form and maybe direct your user to a specific landing page, you can uncheck submit original form, and then you can just go down and put the redirect URL here, and that can give a custom URL redirect. Maybe you want to send them to a custom thank you page. Whatever it is, that allows you to kind of control the flow of a form submit once you've started listening to it. Again, we have the show leads properties to customer option. It's going to show the lead property or not show it if you have it unclicked. You have the ability to assign notification emails as well as phone numbers. So every single time this form gets a new lead, you can have custom notifications. This is like I was saying, it gets a little bit convoluted where if you have some lead notifications set on this form level, but then you also have them set on the site level, and then you also have them set on your account level, you can end up in a situation where you're getting multiple notifications for the same event. And it can be a little bit convoluted to track down. We are going to be working on having kind of a notification center where you can see everything across your account and disable notifications that way. And the last thing is, again, you can configure a lead dialer. So we're going to hop into the lead dialer section right after I go through the Facebook campaign integration. The lead dialer is just a way for you to have your form submits turn into phone calls. If you wanted that to happen with this form here, with a website that wasn't built in Jensen, can be any website, any form, any landing page software, you would just have a lead dialer object and you would enable it and click save. And that, I believe, is everything that you're going to need to know about adding a site into Jensen that wasn't built with Jensen. When you're using webhooks, so if you're, let's say you have an external site and it's a WordPress site using Gravity Forms, you can actually go straight through Gravity Forms and import your leads through a webhook. There's some training on that. You essentially just put in a special URL with this webhook on the Gravity Form side, and anytime that Gravity Form is submitted, it's going to send the lead to this property as a form submit. One of the things that that's good for is that there's some third-party form softwares like Gravity Forms where they don't actually submit their forms normally. It's either maybe a multi-step form, or they're using Ajax, or they're using some hack to kind of grab jQuery at the very top of the dependency chain. There's a bunch of different reasons why a third-party form integration won't work natively with the Jensen JavaScript. And if that ever happens, simply switch to using the webhook integration, and that'll ensure that you get your leads out of your form 100% of the time. So that is the external site. We've gone over how to build a site in Jensen and use all of the features. Now we've gone over how to add all of the features to a site that's already existing. The way that the campaign structure works is it doesn't matter if you have one campaign. Let's say I'm generating leads for a dog walker in Los Angeles. I might have had some existing campaigns on ClickFunnels that I don't want to lose. Maybe I want to start a SEO website or a couple in Jensen. Maybe I have some WordPress sites already generating leads. I can have all of these under the same campaign, and the campaign is going to allow me to view all of my leads coming in. You would see if this were actually generating leads, there would be a bunch of graph data here. So you can see not only at the campaign level how you're doing across the entire campaign with lead generation, but you can also go in and you can see on a site and a landing page level, or on a form level, or on a phone number level. The goal here was to be as flexible as possible so that we can kind of deal with any situation that any of our customers are setting up for their clients. So we're trying to be as flexible as possible. If you would like to do something with the system and you don't see an obvious way to do it, just reach out to us. And I'm pretty sure that if there's not an immediate way to get it done, there's probably going to be a pretty immediate way to get it done, because essentially every part of the system is flexible. You can assign forms to billing plans to campaigns, phone numbers to campaigns. Any way you want to do it, we can get it done. So that is the external site. Does anybody have any questions about adding an external site or using the Jensen JavaScript snippet? We're at about the 2-hour mark. We still have a surprising amount of people sticking around. Thank you guys. I promise that after today, the webinars will probably be much closer to an hour. I'm always around to chat about the technology, about how we're using the platform. I'll be trying to stick to one topic per week and not just be meandering like I am today. But since we haven't had this, I wanted today's webinar to just cover everything. Awesome. Thanks, Paul. I'll be sending out the recording of this webinar, so you'll be able to see everything that comes next. But let's move over to one of our newest integrations. I'm just going to quickly touch on this. We're looking at a campaign. Campaigns have the same level of hierarchy where you can see leads across the entire campaign through this tab. You can see clients that are attached to this campaign or any of the lead sources in this campaign. You can see billing plans attached, and you can update your settings. These are all pretty self-explanatory. One thing that's pretty important to notice here is there is a section on the campaign for call lead qualifiers, and that is basically if you want to set a minimum duration for how long a call needs to be to count as a lead, you can do that here. And you can also put a threshold here where repeat callers will only ever count as one lead. So if I put a 30-day threshold and caller A calls my phone in this campaign today, and they also call back in 29 days, that's going to count as one lead instead of two leads. So those are just two quick things to know here. The campaign, you can have phone numbers directly added to your campaign. So let's say I'm doing a marketing campaign. I've got 5 different things going on. Maybe I'm doing a direct mail campaign. Maybe I have a Facebook ad that isn't a lead ad. Maybe I have 3 landing pages, or maybe 2 landing pages in an email marketing campaign. All of them have different phone numbers. I can make one Jensen campaign, and I can add all of those phone numbers one at a time here. And what that's going to do is just allow me to create almost like a free-form campaign that's only tracking the efficacy of phone calls across different media or different traffic sources. So that's adding phone numbers to campaigns. Here's a integration that I'm actually super excited about. We haven't really spoken about it at all. It is the Facebook lead ad integration. So we just got approved fully for this last week, or maybe even at the beginning of this week. You can come in, you go to the profile integration tab, you connect your Facebook account, authorize us to have access to manage your pages and retrieve your leads. And you'll be able to then select from these drop downs your main Facebook account. You can add as many Facebook accounts as you'd like, just like Twilio accounts. And once you've added an account, you can select it. Then you go and you select any of the ad accounts. This is actually one of the Facebook reviewers. I don't have my live campaign connected here. I'm just going to give us a quick visual. So you'd be able to add your account, select your account, and then you can actually select your campaign. Click save, and what that's going to do is you will then have a Facebook lead campaign attached to this campaign, and you can do the exact same things with those leads as you can do with any other lead in the platform. You can get notified by them, you can deliver them directly to your clients, you can sell them to your clients, you can have them go through the dispute process with your clients. It's literally everything that you could do with any other lead source, you can now do with Facebook leads. And with that, I believe we are through the bulk of the campaign functionality. I'm going to hop over to the next tab and just give us a brief overview of what's going on in the leads tab. So this is me as the main user account. I have the option to invite clients. Clients have their own login where they will see a page just like this. They won't see any of the other options. They'll be able to essentially just pay for leads and dispute leads. So in the lead view, we're going to be able to export any of our leads. We're going to be able to filter by date. And most importantly, we're going to be able to see by day a listing of all the leads that are coming through. I'm on the main level here, so this is going to be all of the leads across all of my campaigns. I can view leads by campaign by going into a campaign, clicking the leads tab, and then furthermore, I can view leads by site, by landing page, by clicking into the site or the landing page in the campaigns tab. And that kind of is how you scope down where your leads are coming from and see exactly where things are being generated for you. Now, a lead index page, you're usually going to see the recording of your call as it comes through. You'll see data on the call. You'll see maybe the caller ID, if the phone number is passing it. And then you, as the main user of the software, have the option to comment on a lead so your client can see the comments. You can approve the lead if you need it to be approved, depending on your settings on the billing profile. You can reject the lead, which means that if a client hasn't seen a lead on their side yet and some spam came through, you can just click the reject button. They'll never see that lead in their dashboard, or you can just outright delete it. Deleting a lead just removes it from the system. Rejecting a lead puts it into this other column here where you can see rejected leads, rejected by administrator. Now, on the client side that we're not going to log into right now, the client essentially has the same view, except for they have an extra button here, which is to dispute a lead. Once a lead has been disputed, it goes into this disputes tab, and you'll see it here. You get an email. The lead is not valid to be billed while it's being disputed. You, as the user of the software, not the client user of the software, have the ultimate say, where let's say you generate a lead, your client doesn't like it, they say they don't want to pay for it, they dispute it in the system. You'll have the ability to either accept their dispute or to deny their dispute. And if you deny it, you will then make the lead eligible to be billed again. There's a little bit of a back and forth for you to do some communication with your clients. If you properly set the threshold between an invoice being generated and a client being billed, You can use the entire platform for a client to not be pissed off when they're paying for leads that they don't like by using the dispute process. So that's it for leads. Let's do a quick discussion about clients. I'm not going to get too deep into it. We'll save this for another day. But essentially, you can invite clients. A client can be attached to a billing plan. A billing plan has lead sources, and that all works together so that you can then bill these clients. The client gets their own login to the platform. It can be white labeled. They'll get notifications when anything happens with their leads. Let's just look at the new client page. All that happens when I want to invite a new client, I come in, I fill out some information about them, give their email, attach them to any sites that I want them to be buying leads from, and then I can choose whether or not upon signing up they need to enter their payment data or they don't need to enter their payment data. We just released, I believe last week, a new credit system where your clients can sign in and they can prepay for leads, and they essentially have a wallet. When they're invoiced, the total will be pulled out of their wallet instead of being invoiced from them directly. We are going to be working on some things so that you can add funds to clients' wallets so that you can refund leads and it'll go back into their wallet as a credit. Everything's going to be moving towards using a wallet system. Traditionally, we've had just a flat invoicing system, but we do have a number of requests over the last 6 months about having a credit system so that clients can kind of have more control, and you can also have more control over the billing process. And that's it for clients. So we are almost through. The last thing I want to touch on here is the call center. This is pretty beefy. I'm going to try to blow through it, but essentially this is the Jensen call tracker. You have a full call tracking suite integrated into the software. We absolutely do not put any limits on how many numbers you can have. We do not put any limits on how many Twilio accounts you can have connected. If you have 100 Twilio accounts, as of right now, for I believe the $19 a month that the call tracker is, you could have 100 Twilio accounts and 100,000 numbers being managed by the system. We don't charge any extra for any minutes. You literally just pay us the monthly fee, and everything else you pay to Twilio, who is pretty cheap. It's $1 per month per number. So let's go through. I have all these test numbers here. When you're looking at a number, you can jump straight to the call log of the number. You can edit the number, or you can delete the number. One thing to note, if you click delete in Jensen, the number is going to be decommissioned out of your Twilio account. So again, it's really important to listen to this because we had a number of users that have accidentally deleted their Twilio number out of their Twilio account because they didn't quite grasp that. But when you click delete here, you're going to decommission your number from Twilio. If you catch it within the first month, all you do is log into Twilio, click on your decommission control, that won't use it again. Once you've connected your Twilio account, you can buy numbers in the geos that we have integrated here. If you need a number in a different geo, you simply just buy it in your Twilio account and you come here and click sync. When you click sync, we're not going to, actually, let me not say that just in case I'm wrong. I believe that when you click sync, we're not going to automatically configure your URL endpoint. So let's say, for instance, you have a Twilio account, you're using another call tracker like ACT, you have 100 numbers in there. If you click sync, you're going to pull them into Jensen and you're not going to unbind the connection to your ACT account. You will just be able to view them in Jensen. It's not an obtrusive connection, if you will. We're not going to go ahead and reset the URLs and break all of your numbers. You can go ahead and come through, configure them one by one. So Again, you're going to have a view of all of your total calls, answered calls, first-time callers. You have some stats across all of your phone numbers. And then let's hop into one of these numbers, control panels, and I'll just go through every setting here, what they mean, what they can be configured to, and we will almost be done with this webinar. So again, the first thing we can choose is whether or not we want this number to be active. If you choose that you want the number to be inactive, a caller is going to reach an error that just says, hello, this number is inactive. Or it's going to reach a message, not an error. You can choose a name for this phone number. So you can just write a friendly name. So something that you will remember this by, maybe it's LA dog walking, and there's a number in there. You can choose a time zone for this phone number, and the time zone is going to be working off of this business hours. So let's say that I don't want this phone number to be dialed during the weekend. I just want it to go straight to voicemail, and maybe I only want to start taking calls at 8 a.m. This setting here is essentially going to tell this phone number to only accept calls between 8 and midnight. And if anybody calls outside of these business hours, it's going to go to the VM. And one thing to note, you need to update the hours by clicking this button here and not at the very bottom of the form. So we have leg length, pretty simple concept. Twilio allows you to choose how long a phone call should ring for before it decides to kick the call into a voicemail or consider the call failed. You can choose any of these. I usually put it around 30 seconds. If you're using a multi-number call flow, this is going to apply for all of the legs in the call. We'll get to that in a minute. So the voicemail, this is my voicemail greeting. You want to type in your voicemail greeting here. If you want to use an MP3 that you have recorded for your voicemail, simply put it here. Or if you want to record your own audio, put your phone number here, click call me. The system's going to call you, and you're going to be able to record your own voice, and then it's going to use that as the voicemail. Quick note, I believe there's a pending bug ticket for the fact that this might not be working for a couple of users. So if that doesn't work for you, just give us a message on live chat and we will figure out why. Voicemails, so Twilio has the power to automatically transcribe your voicemails into text. Jensen has the power to pull those transcriptions and send them via email or via phone to any amount of numbers that you choose. You also have the option to just send all calls to a phone directly to voicemail if you want to do that. The whisper functionality, so this is when you send a call to an agent, when they pick up the phone, they're going to hear this message upon answering the phone. You can have the message that they hear either be text that a robot voice says, an MP3 URL that you have provided, or you can use the same recording mechanism to record your own whisper. So if I'm, for instance, sending leads to a dog walking company in LA, I might set the whisper to say, this is a dog walking lead from Nate. And now every single time I generate a phone call, it goes to this company. They're going to answer the phone call and they are going to hear this message before they're connected to the caller. The next step here is probably the most important. So this is the call flow section. This is how you determine where the caller gets connected to when they call this lead tracking number. The challenge enabled means that when the agent answers the phone, if this is set for true, they're going to hear a message that says you have an incoming call, press any button to connect, and the agent will have to press a button to connect. If this is set to false, when the agent answers, they're going to hear the whisper and just be immediately connected. The reason that you'll want to use the challenge is usually not for the single ring through one-to-one relationship, but it's on the multi-ring or the round robin. The reason that you're going to want to use challenge enabled on these call flows is that, let's say, for instance, I have 3 phones. I'm going to dial 3 agents all at the same time with this multi-ring option. If you wanted to dial 3 agents sequentially, you'd use round robin. Let's say I'm going to use multi-ring. All 3 numbers are going to get called at the same time. If I do not have challenge enabled set to true, if any of those 3 numbers have an electronic answering system, such as Google Voice or a voice over IP system, Google Voice, for instance, when you call a Google Voice number, it says, hello, please let us know who's calling. That electronic answering machine actually sends the same exact signal as a phone answering the call, and that ruins the call flow for the other agents. So if somebody's in the call flow that has an electronic answering machine like Google Voice, their answering machine is going to immediately pick up the call, and the system is going to think that they properly answered when it's possible that it just goes to their VM. So you're going to want set challenge enabled to true. Bind callers to agent. That's an option for both of the multi-number flows. That just means, let's say you have 3 agents. I'm going to put another one in here. So here's my 2 numbers in this flow. Let's say that somebody calls and agent number 2 picks up that call. Now for the rest of the life of this phone number, until you've unbound that caller, if that caller calls back, he's only going to ring the agent that answered. So again, bind calls to agent means that if an agent answers and this is true, and that caller calls back again at any point in time, it's going to go directly to that agent. And the last option for both round robin and multi-ring is, what kind of hold music do you want the user, the caller, to listen to? Our multi-ring functionality is built on top of Twilio call conferencing. So when somebody calls in and it's a multi-number call flow, the caller will be put into a waiting room or a conference room while the agents are dialed. When an agent answers, the agent is then put into that waiting room or that conference room, connected with the caller, and the other agents are, they have their calls dropped. And that is pretty much the call flow. Moving down, we have 2 mechanisms for stopping spam. If you've been doing lead generation, web design, internet marketing, or been alive in the US, you probably have been dealing with a ridiculous amount of robo-spam, robocallers, essentially a bunch of garbage calls, especially if you're listing GMBs, if you have phone numbers on citations. There's a seemingly never-ending amount of spam. The first mechanism that you can kind of cut down a little bit of the auto robo dialing is this robo block. And what that means is, if you have it set to true and a caller calls this number, the very first thing that's going to happen is the system's going to say, please press any number to be connected, and the caller will have to press a button, and then it'll go through with the call flow. If they don't, it's just going to drop them immediately. The next integration, which is a little bit more exciting, this is our brand new integration as of last week. We have 3 spam add-ons in the Twilio marketplace that we've integrated with. And all you have to do is click this install button here. And what that's going to do is install these one at a time spam add-ons onto your Twilio account. It's going to make it so that every single call across your account is going to increase by this nominal fee. I think it's a small price to pay for getting spam cut out from your actual lead generation numbers. Once you've clicked install on all of these, you do want to click to have this enabled. It should auto enable if you have all 3 enabled, but if not, go ahead and click enabled. And what that's going to do is run a special filter where every single time a call comes into your Twilio numbers, Twilio is automatically integrated with Marchex, Nomo Robo, and White Pages. And these guys send a response or send data with the initial call information from Twilio that says whether or not they think the incoming call is spam, so that our system can immediately determine if it's spam. And we'll just stop the call from going through at that point. Again, this is brand new and we are testing it, but I have seen it blocking some spam calls already. Definitely some exciting feature there if you've been dealing with the painful world of robocalls. Moving on, we have recording. You can either choose to record, choose not to record. If you are choosing to record, you default to give them a message so that the caller hears this little message here that they might be recorded. You can also write a custom warning or upload an MP3 that includes the warning. You have the option of whether or not you want the caller ID to pass through as the caller who's calling the phone or as the call tracking number itself. Just up to you. Most people use the caller as caller ID. You can assign this phone number to a client, which means that the clients will be getting billed with this as the leads come through, as the calls come through, according to the client's billing profile. We have notifications. You can choose to get emailed on an incoming call, as well as if there's a voicemail. And you can also get texted on missed calls, on voicemails, and on calls at all. So if you have a number here, anytime a call happens, it's going to get a text that says, hey, call just came into this number. If you have this set to true and the call ends up being missed, you're going to get another text that says, hey, that call that just came in wasn't answered. And if you have this option set to true and the voicemail happens, it's going to say, hey, you got the call, another text, hey, that call was missed, and another text, hey, there's a voicemail. I realized that maybe that wasn't the best way to be sending these notifications, and maybe just having one notification option for the end of the call and getting a summary was a better way, but this is what we have, so this is how it is right now. And then the last thing is the show leads properties. Again, this is when you're sending calls to clients, you're going to be able to hide. I believe in this context, you're actually going to hide the URL that the call came from if it's bound to a landing page or a website. So that is it for configuring a phone call. Really quickly, every single Twilio number you have has the ability to accept text messages. You can just choose to have those text messages forwarded via SMS or via email. You can't respond to them through the system. You can only just accept them and forward them to yourself. And then finally, the calls tab here is where you're going to be able to see the incoming calls for this phone number. You can also export the calls. You can filter the date range. And you'll be able to click in once you see calls coming into the system. You'll actually be able to click in here. You'll be able to see if the call was answered, if there was a voicemail. You'll be able to block the caller from clicking in, and you'll also be able to unbind the caller if it is a bound call to an agent. All of that is going to be on the actual incoming call level. And there's two more things that I'd like to go through today. We're going to make this really quick, so I'm getting a little hungry here. First thing is the block list. So you have the ability to block phone numbers. We have a list of over 100,000 numbers that we've built into the platform on the front end. They're kind of behind the scenes. It's coming from the FTC. Every single phone call across the entire platform is filtered through that list. That's what you get for free. You can add your own numbers here. Make sure that you do it in this format or else it's not going to properly block. That's it for the blocking. And the last thing that I'd like to talk about is the lead dialer. So the lead dialer, we've spoken about it a bit. It's essentially how you turn phone calls, or if you're using the webhooks, events turn form submits or events into phone calls. Let's take a quick look at what this is going to be. Again, you're going to test lead dialer. You're going to give it a name. You're going to choose whether or not you want it to be active. You're going to say who you want to get the call first. So if you choose agent first and a form is submitted that has this active lead dialer, The agent's going to get called. It'll say, hey, there's an incoming lead. Press 1 to be connected. The agent presses 1, sits in a waiting room. Then the system dials the lead, says, hey, you're being connected with an agent. Please press 1. If you want it to happen to the lead first and the agent second, you just click that, switch it around. You can choose a time zone. You actually are going to be able to set the business hours after this page. So I'm going to just leave this blank for now. You can record these lead dialers. You can give the warning, the recorded warning. You can choose the agent number. So I'm just going to use my number here. You can choose whether or not you want the call to come from one of your Jensen numbers. Any of your Twilio numbers can be selected here, and that's going to be the caller ID, or you can just have it come from our Jensen system number. Doesn't matter. And then you have an option for a whisper on both the agent side and the lead side. So that controls what the agent hears when they pick up and what the lead hears when they pick up. So let's create this lead dialer. And now that the lead dialer has been created, we are going to have the business hours available so that we can go ahead and set the time zone and the business hours. Once I've created this lead dialer, I should be able to, so we can see it's in the table now, it's active. Here's the agent that's going to be called. If I just do a quick example of what's going to happen, let's go into the page, the site that we made earlier today. You know what, it might have gone into this Jensen demos, this test Jensen webinar. So I am looking at our Jensen website we made at the beginning of this. And let's say I wanted to turn all of the form submittals on the homepage into phone calls. First, I would make sure that there was a phone number attribute in that. Then I would come over to the site forms. I would configure the form here. I would select yes to the lead dialer being active, and I would just select that lead dialer we just created, and I would save the form. Now the magic would happen when somebody submits that form. We've created a lead dialer event for that lead dialer that's attached to the form, and we've turned a form submit into a phone call. It's a pretty cool feature. It works a lot better in some niches than it does in others, but it's definitely something that I highly recommend everyone checking out. And with that, we have finished the elusive 2.5-hour webinar. I want to thank everyone that stuck around for this ridiculous amount of time. Going forward, everything is going to be a lot more concise. If you have any questions, toss them in right now. I'm going to stick around for a bit until these questions are gone. But that was essentially the grand tour. I hope you guys enjoyed what we have going on. Again, like I said at the beginning, it's a fairly large and complex software platform. There's a lot of lines of code in it. I guess it takes 2.5 hours to kind of walk through the whole thing, which is unfortunate, but now that this is done, we'll have it recorded and we will be able to shoot it out. And get it out there for the people. All right, everyone, it looks like we're pretty much through the questions. Jordan, I see that. I'll make sure that you get helped out. No problem, Dave. You're very welcome. I am going to, let's see. So Craig has asked, does Jensen have the ability to switch currencies per client so that I can charge UK clients in Great British pounds and US clients in USD? As of right now, Craig, we have unfortunately just a limit on there only being one Stripe account per Jensen account. To get around that, while we think about the best way to get multi-Stripe features and multi-currency, is going to be if I just have you sign up for a couple of couple of accounts, and we just put 100% discount across them for as many as you need. But we did just have that request multiple times in the last week. Thank you, Alexander. Excited to get you trialing it as well. Let us know. We're here if you have any questions while you're trialing. Just hit us up on live chat. We're pretty spread out across time zones right now, so we have good coverage of the support system. No, this is indeed live. You made it for the real thing, Alex. And now it's going to be recorded, and then everybody watching after this moment in time will be watching a recorded version. All right, guys, I am going to try to go find some food. This will be sent out if you want to review it later. I'll also upload it to the forum. I think GoToWebinar should automatically send it to your email. Otherwise, be on the lookout for a Jensen branded email later this week. And I hope everybody is starting their new year out correctly. Hope you guys all had a fantastic end of last year. And just let us know if you have any questions or comments. Thanks for coming.